Forums. My name is Shaziah Jinnah Morsette, your current Students' Union President, and I will be your host and facilitator for today. At this forum, we will meet our two candidates running to be the next SU President for the 2024-2025 academic year. Voting will take place from March 5th to 7th on your Student Center. Over the next hour, I will be asking the candidates questions about who they are, what they stand for, and what they know about this position so far. Audience members who have questions may speak to our candidates after the forum is over from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the tables towards the back, just over there. Today, I also have with me Saeed, who's going to help us keep on time. Each question we ask will have a time limit, so candidates, please keep your eyes open. The red paddle means there are only 30 seconds remaining, and then black means stop. Candidates are not permitted to speak over each other, and we will move on once the time is over. All right, with that, candidates, are we ready to go? Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's begin. We have flipped a coin in advance and determined that Ermia will start us off. So first, we'll begin with 2-minute introductions. So please go ahead and tell us who you are and what your campaign is all about.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ermia Rezaei-Afsah, and I'm running to be your next SU president. This past year, I've served as the vice president of student life, where I've accomplished a couple of things, including establishing the first ever food security hub on campus. If you're ever in need of resources or facing food scarcity, it's called The Nest. It's located in Crow's Nest Residence Building. I've also put in a quality money application to establish an affordable meal program on campus that would operate out of the den. $3 vegan, gluten-free meals for any and all students, so that we can actually have services that combat food security directly and help us, be in tip-top shape. I've also worked on establishing an international students association community, so they can foster a community for international students while also foster community for international students while also giving international students a voice to advocate for themselves. And those are just some of my accomplishments. I've also pushed for the review of wellness services. We all know it has a lot of problems. Those are all the things I promised when I was vice president of student life, and I've actually accomplished them. And so I'm running on a platform that wants to make the SU more accessible, first of all, so that students know what it can do, what it can't do, and what they can make it do, but also a platform that's based around direct action, affordability, housing, direct action, affordability, housing, and building student supports, focusing on student experience and all the things that actually matter to us. I will tell you my 4 pillars. One of them is combating the student housing crisis. One of them is working to restore the budget cuts to our post-secondary institutions. Also pushing for better student supports and better campus culture. That is, whether it be through an institutional strategy for food security, revamping the club's office, or looking at how the SU can better serve students. And finally, protecting our academic rights as students and actually advocating for us.
Thank you very much. And now we will restart that 2 minutes and head over to you, Sandra. Please go ahead and tell us who you are and what your campaign is all about.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Hello, my name is Sandra, and I'm running to be your guys' SU president. Thank you all for being here today. I've had the privilege to serve you all as your vice president academic, where I stood toe-to-toe with the executive leadership at this institution, not just in aimless anger, but with the goal of accomplishing real change. And so I did. Though originally the university was unwilling, my work this year has resulted in every major academic regulation and policy that impacts your student rights to be revisited. That includes revisiting the assessments in the classroom in favor of more EDI-friendly ones, as well as revising the outdated intention behind the need to provide documentation when absent. In fact, because of my work this year, self-declaration forms have already been piloted for the fall 2023 semester. And you will soon find an in-course declaration form that you can use in the classroom. So that means if you are ill, all you have to do is check a box on a form to declare that you're sick. No doctor's note needed. Every administrator in this university knows my name. They know that whatever changes they put forward will end up in my hands. And they know that for their proposals to move forward, that means that they need my approval before it can even go anywhere. And that means student-friendly policies. This is why you want me at the table, because I not only know how to play the game, but I'm already living in their heads. It is these experiences, among a myriad of others, that have brought me here today. These have inspired the pillars of my platform, which include the following: putting students first today and tomorrow in terms of their wellness, housing, and food security. We need a blueprint for expansion if we expect 10,000 more students to join us in an already overpopulated campus. And students deserve quality support, whether it's accessing wellness and academic resources or navigating a more equitable and fair disciplinary process. I'm thrilled to be able to talk about my goals with you all today because, unlike others at this table, these are not just recycled solutions already accomplished this year, but they're tangible solutions addressing real needs of students today and tomorrow. I have the drive, the passion, the vision, and that is why I make the impossible possible.
Thank you very much. All right, we will go into our first round, which are position-based questions. And according to the coin flip, that will be Ermia being the first to answer the question, and then Sandra will answer second, and then we will go and rotate as we're going through. So for the first question, Ermia, you're the first answer, and then we'll go to you, Sandra, next. You'll have 1 minute per answer. So let's begin. All right, first question. As president, which advocacy issues are you most excited to work on, and how will you do so in a collaborative way with the other vice president portfolios?
So I think I've actually quite proven myself when it comes to working with the other SU executives. I think most people know that I'm quite collaborative. But when it comes to what am I going to focus on as president and how I'm going to balance my own advocacy and my own platform goals with those of my executives, it's a question of where are the things that we can collaborate on. If we look at the other candidates' platforms, we see that my platform actually overlaps with most of them. And the thing that I think I'm most excited to work on is, first of all, the EDI review of the Students' Union. One of the things that I'd love to do is collaborate with the VP internal to do that, so that we can actually make the Students' Union even more accessible than it already is. I also want to push for working with the VP external to actually bring the province to its knees. We've already put in great amount of effort into fighting the province and ensuring that student voices are heard. We got a 2% cap.
Thank you very much. That's the 1 minute time.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to you next, Sandra. Did you need me to repeat the question?
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
Okay, so I'm actually really excited to talk about this because this is something I've been working on this year, which is sexual and gender-based violence. Personally, I've experienced my own kind of experiences with it, and I had my eyes open to a lot of the gaps and needs in our current system. And so this year, and something I will be continuing with our VP academic, and this is also on her platform, is ensuring that we're supporting our students and protecting them and making sure they are safe when they're pursuing experiential learning both on and off campus. That means building the processes and procedures to disclose if something happens. And speaking of processes and procedures, that's where VP Internal comes in, because they work with the Office of Sexual and Gender-Based Violence to be able to establish that. And then finally, I'll also be working with the VP External to be able to fund our Sexual and Gender-Based Violence office, because as it stands, our office is lacking of funding, and there's only 3 people in the office supporting over 40,000 individuals on this campus. And this is why I will be working with the VP External. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that answer. All right, we'll move to the next question now, and that will begin with you, Sandra, answering first, then you, Ermia. So, as a member of the Board of Governors, how do you plan to advocate on student issues at the board level, and name one board member you think would support you on those issues?
Sorry. That's a really, really great question, and I think it's really important because our seat on the board has a lot of value when it comes to actually advocating for our students beyond the university. So one person I'm really excited to work with is Mark Herman, because he is the chair of the Board of Governors, and he has a lot of influence, especially because he has a background in finance. And so being able to work with him to talk about our current university budget and being able to show that our students just cannot afford the current tuition costs and their cost of living. And so I'm really, really excited to be able to work with him. And as well as the other members in the Board of Governors, they have a lot of different expertise outside of the university. So being able to advocate on other issues such as housing and food security and bringing the community's awareness to it is going to be really vital in our advocacy this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now to you, Ermia.
Thank you so much. So I'd say that when it comes to the Board of Governors, it really depends who you're working with, who you're talking to, and what sort of approach you take with that person depends on the person. Now, the person I'm most excited to work with is John Cornish, because he is technically the legal link between the university and the province. As the senator, as the chancellor of the university, he's the best person to go to when it comes to students. He's a community leader. He is a person of influence in our city. He's and working with him means that you know, we can actually I'll restart. Could you repeat the question for me, please?
As a member of Board of Governors, how do you plan to advocate on student issues at the board level, and name one board member you think you would support you on those issues?
So when it comes to actually advocating for students' issues, it again depends on who you're working with, but in the Board of Governors, the main thing to do is to ensure that, first of all, I am the student representative and there is no question about what I'm going to do.
Thank you very much. That is time. All right. We will move to our next question, and that will begin with you answering first, Ermia, and then going to Sandra next. Other than tuition, state what you believe is the biggest issue that students will face next year. How do you plan to tackle that particular issue as president?
Could you please repeat the question?
Other than tuition, state what you believe is the biggest issue that students will face next year. How do you plan to tackle that particular issue as president?
Okay, so the biggest issue currently facing us students, well, there's two of them. It's the affordability crisis and the housing crisis. What do I plan on doing with that? The affordability crisis, one of the biggest things I want to do is implement an institutional strategy with the university that makes the affordability and food security crisis an institutional priority, a presidential and provost priority. For years, we've been pushing for this, and I'm going to get that done. In addition to that, when it comes to housing, there are two main things I'm going to do. I'm going to collaborate with the VP External to push for rezoning of essential spaces around campus to ensure that affordable housing can be built, but also use the SU president seat on the University Calgary Properties Group to advocate that for affordable housing to be built in University District. How will that look? We're going to use federal loans and grants that were just announced for student housing to actually utilize those, just like the ones that were used for senior housing recently by University District, to build student housing where it's more desperately needed. Those are the two biggest priorities for students, and that's how I plan on advocating for them.
That's time. Thank you. All right, we'll go to you, Sandra.
Thank you so much. I definitely agree with the other candidate here. Housing is going to be a huge issue because of the current residence wait list, and that has been consistent for the last 2 years now. We need more housing. And so for me, I want to take a two-sided approach, both short-term and immediate, to help support our students right now, as well as more long-term in building housing, using the federal low-interest loans to be able to build housing, not just in University District, but also we have students off campus that are either in downtown or at Foothills or Spy Hills, and so building buildings there to help support our students. And so that's kind of the long-term perspective. Short-term, I want to be able to work with the university to make sure things like partnerships with hotels to be able to turn that and allow for students to live there until we have built houses over the next year or 4 years now is actually a way to support our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move to the next question. And on this one, Sandra, you'll go first, then Ermia. With over 28,000 diverse undergraduate students on campus, how do you plan to engage and elevate the voices of equity-deserving student groups in a meaningful way?
Perfect. That's a great question, because I think this is going to be more and more challenging as our campus expands and we're increasing by 10,000 more students. I think that engaging the students is a very important piece of the SU. And so one of the things I would love to do is be able to meet students where they're at. So that means if they're on campus, being able to go there and use the faculty representatives as well as empower clubs, because they are the ones on the ground talking to students. But also, not everyone is on campus here. Some are on other campuses, as well as just taking online courses. And so also utilizing other platforms we haven't explored. The TikTok was a great start for an example for the SU this year, but we might need to explore other avenues such as Reddit. Thank you.
Ermia, over to you.
Thank you. So I live and breathe EDI. I'm a brown Muslim man. So it's something that I constantly think about, right? I'm an immigrant. My life has been very much linked to everything that stands for EDI. So it's something that's very personal to me. And you can see in the work that I've done this year, I've made myself abundantly available to students and have gone to them for consultation time and time and time and again, ensuring that student voices are actually included in the decision making that we do. This past year as Vice President of Student Life, I've proven myself with that. When it comes to the work I've done, I've also made sure that the university includes international students in their presidential strategy on EDI, so that we actually aren't missing out on groups that are actually suffering on campus. Moreover, one of the biggest things that I think that would ensure that I'm actually representing the diverse campus population is ensuring that I'm always out there, because that's the candidate that I'm going to be, a candidate that's always available to students.
Time. Thank you very much. All right, and we'll move to our next question. And with that, it's going to be Ermia first responding, and then Sandra. All right, for the fifth question. The president must balance advocating for students while also maintaining key relationships with senior university administration, including the president and the provost. How will you balance holding administration to account while not compromising a productive relationship with university administration?
So I think I've actually proven myself with this. I've proven myself time and time and again, obviously. But when it comes to different relationships, it really depends. I said this earlier. It depends on the type of person you're working with. Certain people you need to be assertive with. Certain people you need to be collaborative with. But at the end of the day, you can never compromise what students elected you for and what you are working for, which is the students. And that's what I plan on doing. It depends. Maybe with the president of the university, I'm going to be more assertive, more collaborative. I haven't really had a chance to work with them, but I know, with the people that I have worked with, like the vice provost student experience, we're going to take a more collaborative approach because that's what she responds to. But there's been moments where I've worked with admin and they haven't been receptive to collaboration, to just basically approaching them in good faith, and sometimes you have to actually engage in more aggressive and assertive styles of working with them, because that's the only way they respond to. Again, it really depends, but I know how to navigate it.
Thank you very much for that answer. And Sandra, we'll move to you.
Thank you so much. This is something I have been doing all year. I've sat with every executive leadership member of this university with committees. So I've already interacted with them. I've built the relationships. I like to do this thing where I built relationships called a professional personal relationship, which is more than just the work we do. It's also about the values and what brings us to the tables and our motivations to why we are there. Because honestly, we are always going to end up having contentious discussions. That's just part of the role. We've seen that with tuition this year. We consistently see things like that. For me, it was supporting documentation. But by sharing the intention of being there together and knowing that at the end of the day, we're here to help make sure that our UCalgary students are successful, we're able to balance the navigation of discourse and disagreements, but that's not at the expense of our students. And when I need to push, I do push. When I need to make those hard calls, I do make them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those answers. We'll move to the next question. Sandra, you'll go first. Ermia, you will go second. As president, you will serve as a mentor to faculty representatives, and your vice presidents may look to you for direction and advice on critical issues within their portfolio. Can you describe what your approach to leadership is and how you would ensure you mentor and not micromanage other elected officials if you get elected?
That's a great question, and something I've been doing this year as well. We have a squad of faculty representatives we mentor, and that's something I do. My philosophy is to be a leader is to inspire and empower others to be leaders. So that means being collaborative, holding spaces for them, and to be authentic and vulnerable. This is the only way to help each of the faculty representatives, as well as the executives, find out why they're there, their motivations, and be empowered to continue and move forward. And that's something I will consistently do, making sure they're holding that space so they're able to share their values and their priorities and working together to make sure that I can support them in whatever way with their goals, but that does not mean me doing their goals for them. That means guiding them, showing them how to think through things so that they're empowered enough and they can continue to flourish and empower others around them, including clubs, as well as other general students who may not be involved in the SU. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move to you, Ermia.
So for me, I think the biggest thing when it comes to my leadership style is having empathy. And that's what I've always done. That's what I've always relied on, is understanding where people are coming from and meeting them there. I'm the type of person that will not force people to, meet me where I am, I will meet them there because I will try and understand where they are coming from. And that when it comes to my relationships with faculty representatives or other executives, I'm incredibly collaborative, and that's the approach that I'm going to be taking as president. It's a matter of finding, okay, what are the things we agree on, what are the things we see eye to eye on, and how can we work from there to work together. And then the empathy piece really plays into it because, you know, it's how you build relationships. It's how you come to understand one another and have strong, fortified relationships. And that's what I've done with my squad this year. That's what I plan on doing as president. And that's what I plan on doing with SLC, is making sure that I am available to them and they are, and that I can meet them where they are. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those answers. All right, we'll move to the next one. And Ermia, you'll go first. Sandra, you'll go second. And we're back at something that is quite important to the job. I can say so myself. Experience and engagement with U of C executive and senior leadership teams is an integral part of being the SU president. What experiences do you have working with U Calgary administration that would benefit you in this role if you get elected?
So I go first, right? Yeah, okay. When it comes to my experiences with university administration, I think that majority of my experiences have been overall positive because I've been taking a more collaborative approach to things. Could you actually repeat the question for me? It's a long question.
Yes, I'll keep it just at the key question part. What experiences do you have working with U of C administration that would benefit you in this role if you get elected?
So my experiences, have been mostly around student services, the EDI office, and things that actually impact students on a day-to-day basis. It's the International Student Services Office. It's the Presidential Task Force on EDIA, and utilizing those those experiences are strong experiences that I've had. Those are experiences that the presidential portfolio has rarely ever seen brought into it, because since the advent of vice president student life, the presidential.
That's time, unfortunately. Thank you very much, Ermia. All right, we'll move to you, Sandra.
Thank you so much, and that's a great question. Something I definitely disagree with the candidate here is I also sit on a number of committees that do impact the day-to-day of students. I sit on almost 20 committees, including some of the highest academic bodies, meaning I've already interacted with our president, our provost, and all the vice provosts. I've had one-on-one meetings with them. I've also interacted with the Office of EDI and the Office of Indigenous Engagement to make sure that anything I'm moving forward with is actually has been thought out fully and make sure we're supporting our most diverse students on campus. And so I've already built those relationships. I've already been working with them. And because of that, you can see that evidently in my work, that even though the university was unwilling to do things because they feared that opening up a can of worms would result in multiple years of revisiting regulation, that is exactly what I did this year, because they had confidence and trust in that I know how to do this and I am doing it for the benefit of our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move to the next question here. And with this one, Sandra, you'll go first. Ermia, you'll go second. The president should be able to utilize a vast support network to advance student causes, including people and organizations not affiliated at all with the students' union. What do you believe would make some of the best contacts to seek out to strengthen your network?
Thank you for that question, and I definitely agree. We can't do what we do on our provincial and federal and municipal even levels to be able to advocate on behalf of our students appropriately and well. And so some of the organizations on a municipal level that I would love to have contacts with is Calgary's Future, because they have been incredibly powerful when it comes to housing and making sure that we're getting the housing recommendations through. On the provincial level, I think it's very, very important that we're not just meeting with Minister Sani, but we're also meeting with the other ministers around the province so that we're able to properly advocate and hold Minister Sani accountable to a lot of the decisions made in post-secondary. And then on the federal level, similarly, working with CASA, making contacts there, and being able to lobby our federal government so that they are making decisions for the best of our students. Thank you.
We'll move to you next, Ermia.
So I think that one of the best places when it comes to provincial advocacy, and the biggest point on my platform, which is the fight against tuition hikes, is to actually go to the Senate, which I sit on right now, and I have great relationships with. I know people from the Calgary Chamber of Commerce through the Senate. I know people from the former members of the Alberta legislature through the Senate, and I have multiple connections that I've made through the Senate, and multiple connections that I've made from just being a community advocate over the years. I want to utilize those relationships to actually put pressure on the provincial government to demand that that funding for our post-secondary institutions be restored. Going to the Calgary Chamber of Commerce especially, and utilizing the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, because the province loves to listen to our chambers of commerce. And when it comes to what sort of like economic policies they have, they literally copy and paste those. We want to do is use those coalitions and lobby the government towards with these strong partnerships. And that's one of the most effective ways we can actually get these things done.
Thank you very much. Those were great answers. We'll move to the final question in this section. So that we'll have you, Ermia, answering first, and you answering second, Sandra. Without revealing confidential information, please reflect on one personal weakness that you have had in this past year as a vice president at the Students' Union, and tell us how you will approach your growth on this if you are elected again.
So I think that one of my biggest weaknesses this past year has generally been maybe my indecisiveness, I think, when it comes to decision making. When it came to working on the QM application for the affordable meal program, I was having quite a tough time when it came to actually making picking out an approach on what we're going to do, because it was very hard to find an appropriate space in Mac Hall to do the program out of. And what I did to deal with it, and what I'm going to do to deal with it, and what I've always done to deal with these things, is go to my team. My team, namely Shaziah. Thank you, Shaziah. You're one of the reasons that project happened. You helped me make the decisions, and that's the type of leader I am. I will go to my team when I can't make a decision, and that's and ensure that when I'm stuck, where I have a weakness, my team fills in that gap, and that vice versa. I support them in doing the same thing.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. For me personally this year, I found that I take on everything. I don't want to say no to any opportunity because I fear that it will have repercussions for our students. And that's something that very quickly I had to learn, balancing almost 20 committees, that I can't do that. I need to work on prioritizing everything to see how different things impact our students, and some things may be let go of, something might be pushed off to a later time, and I don't have to get it all done at the same time. And so this is something I've already started working on. I've already developed the tools to be able to prioritize things. I have a number of boards in my office right now. If you go in, you'll see where I've organized my thoughts and ideas. And so this is something I'll continue to do in the role of president, because it's very important with the kind of work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those answers. And that closes off our first round on those position-based questions. And now we'll move to round 2, the speed round. So please get your whiteboards ready. You'll have 30 seconds per question in this section. All right, I will let you both know when time is up, and then we'll reveal answers. Ready to go? Awesome. All right, the Students' Union president works closely alongside the VP External to advocate on student issues to the municipal, provincial, and federal governments. Name the city councillor, MLA, and MP for the University of Calgary's riding. All right, and that is time. Perfect. So I will just read off of both the boards here. They are both correct. Terry Wong is the city councillor, Luann Metz is the MLA for the area, and Len Weber is the MP for the area. Give you both a moment to erase the whiteboards. Ready to go? Awesome. Okay, The next question. What are two of the Students' Union committees that the President chairs? Two of the Students' Union committees that the President chairs. All right, are we ready to go? Perfect. Sounds good. So I'll read first from Sandra's UGRC, University and Governance Relations, and QM as well, and Executive Cabinet. All three are correct. And we've got all three as well over there, QM, UGRC, and Executive Cabinet. Thank you very much, both of you. All right, we'll give them a second to reset here again. All right, ready to go? Perfect. Name the two Board of Governors committees that the President sits on. All right, ready to go? Budget Committee and Finance and Properties Committee, those are both correct. FPC is the acronym for Finance and Properties Committee. All right, let's reset and we'll go to the next question. Ready to go? Perfect. As SU President, you will sit on the Board of Directors for UCPG. Tell me what the acronym UCPG stands for. All right, looking both at the same answer here, University of Calgary Properties Group. Congratulations, great correct answer. That was mine that I got wrong last year, so it's always a good moment for me to see it get right up here. All right. Ready to go? As SU President, you and your VP External will be a big advocate for students as part of TFCC. Can you name two of the positions that also hold membership on this committee?
You mean like other members of the committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Two other members of this committee. Which positions? All right. So you are both correct. Sandra has down GSA President and the Provost. Those are both correct. And Ermia has down the Vice Provost Student Experience and the Director for Ancillary Services, which are also both members of this committee. All right, I'll give you a moment to reset. All righty. What are the names of the U of C's Vice President of Research and Vice President of Advancement? All right, that is time. So we've got on Sandra's board, VP Research is Bill Galley and the VP Advancement is James Allen. Those are both correct.
I wrote Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is a very close answer, very, very close answer for VP Advancement, but it is James Allen. And you did get the first one correct, William Galley for Vice President Research. Alrighty, we'll go to the final question here for the speed round. Ready to go? All right. Who is the executive director of CASA, the Canadian Alliance of Students Associations? All right. Again, very close, Ermia. This is a tricky one, I will say. And you know what? Maybe last year I think I would have gotten this one wrong myself. So the correct answer is what Sandra has on her board here, Wasima Juman. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. This is a really great speed round. Alrighty. Put your boards aside and we will move into round 3, the critical thinking round. Here I'll ask you some targeted questions based on your portfolio, and you will have your platform, and you will have 2 minutes each. So you're not going to each be answering the question. Each of these questions will belong to each of one of you. So first, I will begin with a question for you, Sandra, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. Sandra, in your platform, you state that you will, quote, ensure UCalgary develops a process to secure external funding for ongoing deferred maintenance and initiate other renovation projects that will enhance campus facilities and student spaces, end quote. Please tell us how you will ensure that the university makes progress on this in the next year, as in your role, you directly will have no authority to force projects like this forward. You have 2 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this question. And it's one that I'm actually quite excited to talk about because I've actually had those conversations already this year. And so over the last 2 years, I've worked with campus architecture to put forward a few renovation projects to clean up some of our spaces, like the Science P cafeteria space that was literally a cafeteria at some point in time, which is why there's no outlets there. And so I moved forward in talking to our campus architect, have the whole plan figured out. We have all the funding that we would need proposed tentatively, but we don't actually have someone to fund the project. And so when I worked with the campus architect, she mentioned how currently in our Office of Advancement, how donors propose to start new projects on campus is that they will donate money and say what they want the money for. But there's no flipped process in the sense that donors can come in, we propose a project, and then they donate it. And it would be a mutual beneficial thing for both the donor and the students because it would be a student need in those spaces, but on the flip side as well, it would be a great thing for the donor and they would be known for it. And so this year we've already started the discussions of laying out that pathway with the Office of Advancement at the University of Calgary, as well as the Office of Advancements under each faculty to be able to establish a pathway so that donors can come in, we can propose a project like that Science B one that is almost completed. We just need the funding. And then they can come in and fund that. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. All right, Ermia, we'll go to you next with your question. In your platform, you state that you will, quote, ensure better availability of diverse meal options on campus through recruitment of vendors who provide halal and vegan options, end quote. As you are aware, Aramark oversees many of the vendor locations on campus, and the SU has its own long-term leases with vendors in Mac Hall. Please tell us how you will go about ensuring to recruit these diverse vendors to spaces that you don't technically oversee. So you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Pardon me. When it comes to, I'll address it in 2 parts. First, the Aramark and university aspect. So I've actually already made inroads in regards to working with ancillary services to bring more diverse meal options to the meal plans. That is something that I've worked on, I've been successful on. There's been more cultural days being offered at the dining center. So Aramark is actually open to bringing more diverse food options because that makes them money. But my intention of that platform point was really Mac Hall. I didn't have enough words to say campus and Mac Hall left on my platform. But when it comes to Mac Hall, yes, we do have long-term leases, but the people are here. First of all, with the people that already exist in Mac Hall, Bake Chef didn't used to have halal items on their menu. Independent vendors in Mac Hall can easily switch their menu to add halal options, and we can convince them of doing that. Because if we look at actually how much money Bake Chef makes, they make a lot of money because they're one of the only halal vendors on campus. That's something that's very possible. The other thing is we can strategically use whenever there's a location that opens up in Mac Hall, we can strategically push to have more halal vendors or vegan vendors take those places, because it's not because yeah, we can't necessarily choose what type of halal or vegan vendor we get, but we can try and cater to students' needs, and that's what I plan on doing, is actually utilizing these contracts effectively and strategically so we can actually diversify our meal options for a diverse campus. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. All right, that concludes the third round, the critical thinking portion. So just one question each on your platform points. But that means we will now move into the fourth round, the debate. So the way this is going to go is I will ask each one of you to pick one of your opponent's platform points and provide a constructive critique. Your opponent will then have the same amount of time to respond to your critique. So we'll start first with Ermia providing a statement of critique. You will have 2 minutes. And then Sandra, you will have 2 minutes as a rebuttal. And then we will flip over, and Sandra, you will have a chance to provide your statement of critique for 2 minutes, and Ermia, you will have a 2-minute rebuttal. I can pause in between and re-ask the question so that we can reset. So I will give you, Ermia, first the floor to pick one of your opponent's platform points and provide a constructive critique, and then you, Sandra, will have 2 minutes as your rebuttal.
So I have 2 minutes to, okay. Thank you. So I think that Sandra and I are actually very similar. We've worked together for a year. I love you. But I think that, so our platforms are very similar, but there is one question I do have for you, and it's that you insist on developing a comprehensive plan. You have UCalRI develop a comprehensive plan for the expansion of Mac Hall. You say prioritizing additional student-focused spaces and diversifying food offerings. I know that the renegotiation for the Mac Hall user rights agreement for the Mac Hall stakeholder for MUSA is coming up. However, I want to know how you actually plan on expanding that, because we know that the university doesn't actually have any funds to even fix main issues with like maintenance for vendors in Mac Hall. We have an entire the university has been delaying and delaying and delaying constantly renovation projects for the vendors on the A&W side of Mac Hall to allow them to actually produce more food because they don't have money, and yet you are saying here that you want to expand Mac Hall. The university doesn't have money, and I don't know if the Students' Union necessarily has money to expand Mac Hall. And so I don't see this being a realistic platform goal. And yeah, just that when we don't have the resources or the money to do anything like this, how can you build these additional student-focused spaces and diverse food offerings that you are promising without the resources?
You have 2 minutes for your rebuttal.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you, Ermia. So starting with the maintenance issues that you mentioned, which I won't go into depth because it is semi-confidential, we have worked with the university to get to the root cause of some of the reasons why they can't fund things sometimes. And so working at Joint Liaison Committee, which I had the opportunity to sit on and be able to see how negotiations occur at the table and who's at the table and the things that they prioritize, has been really eye-opening for me to be able to accomplish this. But with the MUSA, and as you mentioned, MUSA is the Management and Users' Rights Agreement. Management of, okay, it's fine.
I couldn't get it either.
But I think the important thing here is that because we're expanding our campus by 10,000 more students, the university doesn't have a choice. The university as it stands is already overpopulated. And it doesn't just have to be funding from the SU, and it doesn't just have to be funding from the universities. There's other avenues, including the low interest loans and the federal government, as well as the provincial government. There are ways to apply for funding to secure some of those maintenance costs. And so it is possible. It just needs to be something that is brought up at the negotiating table with the MUSA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Now we'll reverse. So Sandra, you'll have a chance to provide a statement of critique for 2 minutes, and then Ermia, you will have a 2-minute rebuttal. So once again, please pick one of your opponent's platform points and provide a constructive critique.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Ermia, I want to say thank you for acknowledging M1 and my work all year, because that is something that is so important and has been something I worked on since May, and is almost done, which is really, really great to see. So thank you for that acknowledgement. For a critique, I would definitely say your point about the Student Bill of Rights. This was on my platform last year, and the reason I abandoned it is because we talked about this as an executive. It's more important to actually fix the regulation than just compile it in one document. And if you guys don't know what the Student Bill of Rights draft looks like right now, it just tells you where to find the regulation in the academic calendar. It doesn't say anything about the regulation. It just puts the sections and say, here you go, here's the link. And that's a problem because the regulation in itself is not supportive to students. So this year, I was able to get the university to revisit every academic regulation mentioned there. And as discussions evolved, we realized that what we actually need is a document that helps students interpret and apply the policy and show the links between all the different regulations, because it can be complicated for a student to navigate what looks like a legal document. And so to finally adopt the Student Bill of Rights is not necessarily what we need. We need a whole revamping of it. We need to actually look at the policies that are in it and help students apply and interpret the policy. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ermia, 2 minutes for your rebuttal.
I totally agree with that, but I do think that it's necessary for the time being for students to actually have resources that's obviously in their face, such as in their course outline, for them to know where they can go look. I met students who still don't know what the academic calendar looks like. I think that it's very important to have these things outlined on course outlines, such as the Student Bill of Rights, for the time being. It's been years that we've been pushing for it, and it might be a temporary fix, yes, but it's something that will help students advocate for themselves. A document like this will take a long time to draft, and for that reason, I think that it's extremely important for the time being to actually have something in place. Many students don't know what their rights are. Many students are very fearful when it comes to actually standing up to their professors and standing up to people where there's an actual power differential. And the Student Bill of Rights for the time being can actually help mitigate that. Moreover, when it comes to M1, yes, we thank you for the work you've done on it. But when it came to going to students at the beginning of the year, when M1 popped up, that didn't happen. So that's not something I would do as president. When it comes to issues like this that pop up, I would actually go to students. I think that at the end of the day, it's about harm reduction with issues like this, and that's what the Bill of Rights pushes for. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your answers. All right, that brings us to the end of today's forum with one final step, your closing final pitch. So candidates will now get 1 minute each to make a final pitch. Why should the student body vote for you? And I'm struggling to remember the order right now, but since we went to you first, Ermia, in this section, we'll come to you first, Sandra, to do your closing statement. And then we will go to you, Ermia, next for your 1 minute closing statement. Okay. So, Sandra, you've got the floor.
Thank you so much. Dinos, this year I've shown up time and time again, being the first to step forward whenever action was needed. I did not take a single moment lightly. I threw myself at every challenge. I developed the tools, skills, and knowledge to fight for you every step of the way. That's something that anyone that is or was currently in office would attest to. Yes, I'm trying to achieve a lot with my platform, but many said exactly that every time I ran for office. And yet, my track record speaks louder than any of their doubts, being awarded the most outstanding elected official in the 80th SLC, and being one of the most effective and successful vice presidents in the history of the SU. Bringing my platform together, I did not just cherry pick ideas from the VP portfolios and take them as my own. Rather, I want to address the root causes of these issues and acknowledge my role as a leader and a collaborator. And that is why, rather than playing chance with rock, paper, scissors, I will play chess. And I will know the right moves. I know how to make them. So please vote for me, because together we are unstoppable.
That is time. Thank you very much, Sandra. All right, Ermia, we'll move to your final pitch. 1 minute, you've got the floor.
So I have an impeccable track record when it comes to actually going to students about issues and actually being out there and actually putting my face out there. And that's the type of president I plan to be. I plan to be a student-focused president. We've never had a student life president before in the 15 years that this role has been created, and that's what I aim to be. I aim to bring a fresh perspective that's focused on student supports and student experience into this role. Now, when it comes to the way that the type of candidate that I am, I'm a candidate that's a people person. I'm a candidate that's empathetic, and I'm a candidate that's going to fight where it's required for students. It's not a thing of making impossible things possible. Rather, it's a thing of actually standing up for students and actually seeing what are the things that we can do in this 1 year long tenure of ours. Moreover, when it comes to actually being out there and actually having a proven track record, I actually go to students and tell them what I've done, what I've accomplished, and bring them in with the work that I do. And that's the type of candidate I am. That's why you should vote for me. For Ermia Rezaei-Afsah, vote Rez for Prez. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is time as well. All right, candidates, thank you very much for your participation in today's forum and engaged answers.
Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, so I just wanted to say, for the last time, I'm your Students' Union President, Shaziah Jinnah Morsette, hosting the SU Forums, and now it's your chance to get out there and vote for the rest of this week. Voting opens tomorrow at 9 a.m. and then closes Thursday at 4 p.m. on my.ucalgary.ca. Log in with your student account, and you'll find it there. It's really important that you guys get out to vote. Don't forget, these are going to be the students that will be representing you next year. So please ensure you're using your voice to choose who those people are, whether it be your faculty representatives, students at large on Senate or the Board of Governors, or one of your executives. So reminder to everyone, vote March 5th to 7th. That's Tuesday to Thursday this week, online on your student center. And thank you to everyone who's attended in person today and everyone watching online. Take care.